All righty. Hi, everyone. Looks like Joy and Lois are already here and ready to go. Again, I still don't have a face camera yet. I'm still trying to get that figured out. So you still just have to talk to the fingers, and I apologize for that. I hate starting out that way. So anyway, so we are going to keep on working on what we started, and I haven't had an opportunity to work on it. I've had doctors, dentists, eye doctor appointments every day this week for various and assorted family members. So it's been one of those kind of weeks this week. So, eventually my adult children will be able to do this stuff on their own. But, excuse me, we'll get there. Anyway, so I haven't gotten any further than where we left it on National Scrapbook Day, but we're going to keep on working on it a bit, and hopefully I will get more to it this week. I will also, my intention is to get the, I still haven't gotten a name for it, the digital paper that we were using. We'll get that up. Sorry, I'm just pulling the solids out. I'll get that up this week as well, so that this weekend, I swear life just keeps tripping me up these days lately. I felt like I was busier back, 5-6 years ago, and I managed to get it all done. So I don't know if it's just age or, pandemic, or I don't know. It's just, I just don't seem to get as much done, or my kids are more work as adults than they were as kids, which could be a factor. But anyway, that's what's going on with me. As I overshare, which is, what I do. It's my norm. So anyhow, I'm sorry, I'm just reading for a second. So yeah, I don't know if I'm just I mean, part of it may be my own, personal mental health these days, to where I just can't seem to do as much multitasking as I used to be able to. So I don't know. I just know that I'm enjoying working on some of these projects right now. I'm thoroughly enjoying the little tiny bit of time I carve out for myself each day to work in my art journals. That has done more for my mental health than I think anything. It has helped kind of restore in me that creative spark that I lost for close to a year, to where I was struggling to find it. I'm excited with some of the projects I have coming up over the course of the summer. We have one that will last the entire summer, but it's just once a week. And it's all going to be done in advance. So once I have all the videos done, I'll release it, and then it gets released weekly, the videos for it. And that's going to be the day camp. And then summer camp will be 4 separate projects, one every 3 weeks to a month. And again, those will all be on video type courses that you can do at your own speed and own pace. But each one will have a single day of a live session where you can ask questions and all that kind of thing. And the first one should be coming up in early June. And that one is going to be a color class. Kind of more in depth than what we did in my I don't know how many of you have been around and remember, but my very, very, very first Ustream class back in January of 2010. I think I was the 3rd person to start doing Ustreams. Marion Smith was doing she started in November. Catherine Krieger started in December, and I started in January. And then after that, there was a whole bunch of others. And I think the following year, half of the paper crafting world decided to do Ustreams, and then they gradually fell off. So it's been wild. It's hard to believe that it's, we're sitting at 12 years, right about now, that I started doing paper crafting. So I've been doing a lot of self-reflection of late in terms of my journey along the road, and just figuring out the direction that I want to go, that others want to follow along, as well as something that I have an interest in. I still love doing the 3D. I would say I'm getting a little burnout on it. Same with doing just albums, because people also evolve and change and want to move on. And I think a lot of doing this kind of hybrid photo journals, photo albums, journals, and that's hence the reason in the last couple of years I've started calling them photo journals. It's kind of a hybrid, and I think that's been something that's been of interest to quite a few people. At least I hope so, because that's kind of the direction I'm going. I'm trying to keep everything to where you can do it in a very quote unquote traditional way, but I'm also trying to push and stretch not only myself, but all of you to do maybe some other ways of doing things, for you to choose to do that. So, maybe throwing a little paint on occasion, that sort of thing. But what I'm trying to do is, much like I'm doing with this one, is keeping it so those who want to do more traditional don't want to either make any sort of investment in additional materials like paints and stuff, want to use what they have around and that sort of thing. So those people can do it, but also those who want to stretch their wings in a little different direction can do that as well. One of the things with a lot of these is they are using a lot of stash stuff. If there's one thing that I have heard, is that people want to use their stash. I'm not doing, at least right at this moment, this could change, but right now I'm not doing any new kits. I'm still finishing up some projects from the past so that I can finish those up and get those out. And, don't worry, those are still coming. As I'm starting to get kind of my mojo back, I'm getting rolling on some of that as well, at a little faster clip than it has been. But until I get into a better place in terms of all of that, I'm not doing new kits. I may be doing some additional, I may do some things that are like ephemera packs or fiber packs or fabric packs and stuff that kind of go along with what I'm doing here, or paper packs even, with some of these unique and different papers, so that you don't have to source and or hunt those down. And with those, I will put those packets together. They will be packaged and ready to ship before I even put them up. So as orders come in, I put a label and they go out immediately, is the plan on all of that. But for right now, we're just going to keep on rolling on with what we've got. As I said, I've got these summer projects coming up, just 4 projects that are a combination of both some more journal album-ish and some 3D-ish. Most of them are a little bit of both. Also, this is an album that is going to go, or a journal that's going to go into the new, the fairy suitcase, which I will be doing that one as a live class online. The rest of them will be video. But as I said, it's not something that I'm going to put it up and then you have to wait, other than waiting for the release dates. But I will have all of the videos complete before I even put it up. So you're not having to wait indefinitely for me to get something completed. All of the videos will be complete before I even offer it to everybody. So That's why I won't be putting all 4 summer projects up at once. They will be at one at a time, and I will do it on a case-by-case basis as to whether I'm gonna offer any, packs that go along with them. So hopefully then by fall, we're in a much better place in terms of whether I'm gonna offer kits or whether people even want kits anymore. So hard to say, especially if you're trying to use some up some of your stash, that sort of thing. I will have some digital stuff available over the course of the summer, but anyway, that's where all of that is right now. So let's see. Oh, Christine, you went back to my old blog. One of the things that I have seriously considered resurrecting, just because I liked the format of the old bloggers' blogs versus doing a blog on my blog on my website. I don't know. I'm back and forth all the time. But I've really considered resurrecting that, not for any as a blog per se, because I don't like doing the writing part, but more as a place to show pictures, a place to show any quick tutorial type things, which is what it used to be back in the way back days. Because my blog, I started it in 2009. So looking at some of doing some stuff more with that, and less with paper doodles on Facebook. I mean, it was down to things where, given current circumstances that had potential, I'm not going to name it specifically, but if a certain situation had occurred on Facebook, I was ready to dump Facebook and run. So I'm looking at options and possibilities. The blog, whether it's through the one that I can do on my website or whether it's doing the blogger one again, I still have to look at. I don't even know if Blogger is still actually an option to add to it. So I'm not real sure, because I really haven't looked at it. I know I can do it on my website. I just have, and it's maybe something that I can talk to Carol about. On the one on my website, people have had a hard time following it and getting it. There's just some glitches on the website that she and I need to kind of go over a few things and figure out. I know that a vast number of you, because I get the notifications, it seems like an inordinate number of you have to constantly have to reset your password, and you shouldn't have to do that as frequently as it seems to constantly come through. I mean, those of you who haven't accessed your account, for years, that makes perfect sense. But I know there's some people that every time they go onto the website, they have to get a new password, and that doesn't make sense. If that's something that you have happen on a frequent basis recently, and you've got recent stuff on there, please drop me an email if you find that every time you're trying to log in, so that we have at least one that I know for a fact we can follow on, and it helps her to figure that all out. So, excuse me. There's also something that through a group that I belong to that has it through an app that you can set up to where it's like our own little community thing. If those of you have been around for a while, when we had the Ing site, NING, that was before we did the Facebook group. So how many years ago was that? 7, 8, something, 9 years ago. It's very similar to that. It's generic that you can customize it, but from that I can do videos. We can do a subscription type thing, because I've looked into potentially doing some Patreon stuff for those who might be interested in something like that, a little bit more in depth, maybe more interactive. We can do that through this app thing. It can be much like what we use the Facebook group for. But part of the reason why I'm looking for alternatives is I do know there are a lot of people who don't really like Facebook. And I'll be honest, it's not my favorite myself, but it has the most interactivity, and with the private Facebook group, so, but just be aware that we may look at what other options we have available for everybody to kind of gather together. Because that's my biggest thing with all of this, and it always has been since I started doing this 12 years ago now, that it's that community and the people who've been around. And what I find is so fascinating is we have people who were here 10 years ago, and now they're still here. There's some that are still here, but there's also some that were here 10 years ago. And then we didn't see them for 6, 7, 8 years, and now they're back. So, there's an interest in this community that we as a group have created. And I want to keep that camaraderie going, but I want this to be someplace where people feel that they can interact. I think that's the one thing about Paper Doodles is right now it's just a place for me to announce whether or not we're having a live stream or not. Very few, but I do appreciate that Christine did post a project this last week, but there's other Facebook groups that I belong to that are very active, and people are posting things all the time. And I don't know if it's just what kind of things that we're doing, or if it's just the crowd. We just have a crowd that would rather observe right now, which is perfectly fine. But I just want to make sure that we are creating an atmosphere that is interactive in a way that you want to be interactive. If you don't want me to explore any of all that, that's fine too. If you just want to, watch me working, that's good. That's cool. And we can do that. But anyway, so let's, that's kind of where things are right now. So we'll go ahead and get working here. Let's see. Yes, Jane, I'm trying to get that up over the weekend. It needs, Sue, were you able to get in? I was working on those. I've done everything I can on my end. I've reset them again. I've changed the email address to your current one, all of that. So let me know if you're able to get in to access it. Sue and I have been trying to get her into her old account, and we've been challenged. So let me know if you're able to get into that. I was on there earlier today, and they should all be showing. And if they don't, I'm not sure why. So anyway, back to Jane's question. Yes, I'm trying to get that up over the weekend. I'm still working on finishing up the journaling cards for it and getting it all formatted. And it's a full day's worth getting everything with all the labeling and all that good stuff on. So hopefully this weekend. Sunday, I'm kind of losing Sunday because thank you, Lord, I get to have, and I'll get emotional about this, I get to have my mom here for Mother's Day. I got to spend a day with her, taking her to the doctor's office. It was early this week, late last week, I don't remember now, but I got to spend the day, and we went to this. She needed to go to the store, just needing some clothing type items and stuff. And it's the first time she'd been in a store in over a year. But we get to have her here for Mother's Day, and it's a big deal. For those of you who are getting to experience that, it's awesome. It's awesome. So if you don't have your vaccine, please get one. It's going to make it better for everybody. I know that there's, for some people, that's a controversial thing, but I had a sore arm after the first one, and the second one, I had a sore arm, not as bad as the first one. and that evening, not that, the second night, some fatigue and a little bit of foggy brain, but I could have just been foggy brained. I'm foggy brained all the time. Beyond that, I've been perfectly fine. I'm a big researcher on the science. I can go on it, and I've talked to people I know personally in the medical field. I'm all in because it's letting me get to have that time with my mom that I lost a year of my mom. So, anyway, I don't want to dwell on that too long. So, anyway, but yes, the paper, as to get back to what Jane is asking, this paper I will announce on Paper Doodles, and also probably on Instagram. Instagram's my latest go-to, and I know they're related to Facebook, but I don't have anything on Instagram except one hockey thing that I follow, and the rest is all just artists and designers and crafters and all of that it's very inspirational. And so that's kind of my happy place in terms of social media. There's nothing political on there. Twitter's where I keep that very separate, and that's just my place for doing any of that crap. And Facebook, it's just a free for all, no matter what you do. So Instagram, if you want to see me posting stuff, Instagram at Laura D. Denison is where I post. I have almost daily post, except for on the days when I have a fight with my watercolors and all I post is a picture of the ripped out pages from my journal that day. And now I'm a day behind. So I got to get caught up on that. But every day I do a different medium, and there's some days where that is not what I want to do, but I'm pushing myself to do it. And I take about half an hour. So I have where I paint, it's just mainly paints and colors. I have the cut paper. I have the watercolor on Wednesdays. Thursdays is the cut paper. Let's see. So Monday is paint and color. Monday is collage. Tuesday is paint and color. Wednesday is watercolors. And I thought I was going to love watercolors, but they're fighting me lately. So Thursday is the cut paper. Love that one. Never in a million years would think I would love that one. Friday is off the page. It's more assemblage type thing, and I'm behind, so I don't have cut paper or assemblage done, but the day's not over yet. And then Saturday is using stencils, stamps, and other tools. And then Sunday I call Wabi Sabi Sunday, which means I can do pretty much anything goes. And Wabi Sabi is embracing things that are not perfect, which basically the entire week of these journals is I embrace it of not being perfect. But I'm having a blast, and I'm calling it Day Hikes on the Paper Trail. So I'd love to have you come join, come view. I don't understand the people who spam me by liking like 20 different pictures, but then don't follow. So, drop me a follow. I'm starting to sound like my daughter with Instagram. I want the followers and the likes. If you like pictures, if you like what you're seeing of myself, like them, and then they'll come up in your feed. If you don't like it, you won't necessarily have stuff coming up in your feed. So there's all sorts of weird algorithms and all of that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm blathering on about too much that I can talk about while I'm working. But anyway, this that we're working on is a variation of a project from very early on. I think it's from 2010. The long envelope mini album had like 250,000 views of that video. So I've modified that to put in a junk journal section in with all of the envelope section. So there's 3 sections in this one. So I've just modified that. There's a whole video showing how I put all of that together. Then on National Scrapbook Day, a week ago, Was it last Saturday? I get so lost as to what date. It was the first. So yeah, it was last Saturday. We did what we've done so far in here is starting to embellish the pages. So we did that. And so now we're just continuing on with this one. It will be, as I said, going inside of another older project, my vintage suitcase that was from 2011 for Tim Holt's booth. We're taking that, making a little bit, we're tweaking a little, making it a little bit bigger, doing some other fun stuff to it. And it's going to be a suitcase that this fits in. So the vintage suitcase fairy style will be coming up. Now, the suitcase, we may do that live, we may not. I haven't decided on that yet, but I did think this was a really good omen. Let me pull it up on my phone. Out in the yard, we all of a sudden had these mushrooms show up. And it's like, oh, well, interesting. We've never had that before. The weird thing is I looked at it this morning, and I don't know if it'll show here on, but look how the mushrooms, ignore the clover, they're in a ring. So I have a fairy ring of mushrooms in my front yard. It's just bizarre because see, there they are. It's like, I thought, woo, okay, the fairies are visiting at night and dancing in my front yard. I feel like I needed to go stand in the middle of that circle. I haven't done that yet and just absorb the fairy energy. So anyway, so it's just a sign for me because I love doing the fairy related stuff. We're going to be adding some more leaves and stuff like that, making this much more fairy. I apologize for those of you who are seeing that my camera is auto focusing, and I apologize for that. Again, I'm now on a Chromebook to broadcast rather than on a laptop, and I can't figure out how to turn off the auto focus from the Chromebook versus the because I also forget once I'm off, because I usually am running from doing the show to then getting dinner, and so I don't always get right back to things and figure them out. And then, I'm setting up like 20 minutes before the live feed and go, I needed to look at that. So it's something I need to explore. Or if anybody is hyper familiar with Chromebooks, which I'm not, I got to figure out how to turn the autofocus off on my camera the way I used to do it on the laptop. So, alrighty. Let's see. I'm reading. Yeah, my first flight where I'm going to go back east. Sarah wants to go back to New York City, and if I can figure out how to swing it, maybe by the fall, we'll see. But I want to go visit Pam in Boston, and then, but Sarah wants to go to New York City because that's where she wants to eventually move and finish school. She goes to Southern New Hampshire University right now, but it's all online, but because they had the fashion merchandising program that she wanted, but she wants to then transfer to one of the art schools there in New York City, but she wants to go to New York City one more time. The last time we were there, when we had dropped Trevor off in New Hampshire and we took the train down to New York, I had my husband with, she was sicker than a dog. She had gotten a UTI and was just miserable the whole time we were there. But so we want to go back again, and just so for her to go look at the school, to look at the city again, and just make sure that that's what she wants to do. Because I said, yeah, because what we're going to do is whenever we go somewhere, you're going to navigate us there on the subway instead of having me do it. Because I could picture her living in New York City and saying, Mom, I need to go to such and such a place. What train do I need to take? And I'd be able to tell her because I figure it out really quick. It's just something, the way my brain works. as I can picture the entire subway system. And I kind of remember, having not been there for a couple years now, I kind of remember what some of the trains are. And once we're there, I'll remember. But I'm going to make her navigate us around. So that could be real interesting. So anyway, back to this. I'm reading. Okay, so let's just keep on working on some of this. One thing I did do is I talked about how with this envelope had this grid on the inside of the envelope, because these are just some junk envelopes. I did open this back up again after for those of you who weren't here on National Scrapbook Day, this had plastic in there that I took my heat gun to dry. I put some watercolor around it. I took my heat gun and went boop, 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 and the plastic all just shrunkled up. So we had to pull this envelope apart. Hence, it's got the washi tape on the edges. So we pulled this all apart, and I put some Duralar, which is heat resistant, in there to replace it. But I didn't like how bright this was. Really bright blue grid. So the grid, you can still see it. I just did an overwash with some white, watered down white gesso. So I pulled it apart again and did that. And I'm much happier. So when the tag is not in there, it's not going, I am screaming blue. So, but it doesn't matter when the tag is in there. You don't see it, but you pull the tags out. So I want it to look the way I want it to look. But see, then, and I'll find a little quote to put on here, put some little quote, and I'll be doing some additional embellishment as I pull up some embellishment stuff. So, but we can just flip the page. I've already done on the back of this envelope some same with the watercolor. It's just a real pale blue and some tan. So then it's got a page out of a book. Oh, that's what I want to show you guys. We went to Portland. Sarah and I went to Portland, and I wanted to show you my stash of vintage books that I got real quick. I meant to show you at the end of the last one. First off, I found these. They're based on vintage. They're not actually vintage, but some bird things, because I want to do a bird type one. So I found these for Joy. I thought, well, I'm not sending them to Joy, but I thought these were cool postcards. So then I just got some books, and what you do is you can use the papers out of them in your junk books, but you can also take the pages out and use the covers for journals. 5 billion. I'm not going to be doing unless well, actually I probably will, because I'm going to do it a little bit differently, how I put the signatures in versus how everybody else does it. So I might show that. But there's 5 billion videos on turning a book into a journal. This is my favorite one. I love the color. This red color is but I love the name. Sparks Fly Upward. This one is just screaming to be a sassy fairy journal. It's screaming, red. None of this pale pastel colors for this fairy journal. And with this Sparks Fly Upward, it's just this. Yeah. This one's really old book. The Golden Genser. It's from 1882. So this one's really got some really cool stuff in it. Had gold gilded edges on the pages. But it was already coming apart. That's why I got it so cheap. So I'll finish taking it apart and be able to use it, and then use some of the pages in it. But this one's was just yummalicious. I couldn't resist. So and then Safe Principles of Business. But I thought this was just a really cool cover on this one to take apart. And you notice very similar inside covers. This is another older one. This is from 1899. But I love the papers in here, because this has got some cool ephemera to use for some junk journal stuff. It's got all these kind of practical penmanship. Practical. So, but it's just got some really cool pages. It's got this penmanship stuff in here. It's got rules for writing a postal. It's like, to be perfectly honest, there's a lot of people who these days who could really use some of this, but it's got these charts in here. Oh, look, the United States government, the Constitution. Maybe there's some people that need to read that one. Yeah, that was not a nice comment to make, but points of law and bookkeeping. I mean, this is just a really cool book. So the pages in here are fun to be able to use, and some diagrams and all that kind of stuff. And then it's got a cool cover. And then this last one is Charlie Chaplin autobiography. Again, the cover, and I like the fact that it's been an old library book. So it even has the old library thing in the back. This one's not as old, but it's got these cool old photos from, Charlie Chaplin stuff. So I thought, these would be so cool to use. So this was a cool book as well. So anyway, that was our fun. Found this stuff in Portland. We're going to go to a couple of the antique stores here in the Seattle area too to find a few more. One of the things I want to start doing is I'm also going to be starting to create some journals that I will offer the quote unquote complete journal for sale. Then, you can add to them, but because I'm not going to fully fill them to the level we're doing here, but I'll add some elements and stuff to it. And then those will be available for purchase. And anything I'm selling like that, I'm not going to do necessarily on my website. I'm going to do it on my Etsy from way back. So anyway, I just got all these things going. If I can just keep myself rolling. So yeah, I'm going to make some of those into some digital ephemera, because the other book that I have that I got a couple of years ago on one of these kind of trips, and this is one I'm not going to cut this one up. This is one, the Handbook of Ornament is like, this is like a Bible in terms of architecture and design. So I can't, this one I can't cut up, but I can go through. It's got a signature in here from 1900. It's an 1892 book, but this has all sorts of decoration elements it's got like all of these, like here's all sorts of capitals off of, so these are ones you can see I have got some marked that I'm scanning to make this into some ephemera type digital ephemera packs that you can print. As I've been playing with printing on different papers and stuff. So I want to be able to get it to where we print these and we can print them on papers so it feels much more like this kind of paper, this older paper. But this was a finding this. I see all sorts of bits and pieces out of this online and stuff, but finding this book was like, this is like my find. And so this one's never going to get chopped up, but I am going to scan out of it. So, but yeah, so definitely got some digital ephemera. Okay, and then before we get started, one last thing. Any of you who have ever done this is the coolest thing. I had so much fun doing this. This is using a National Geographic and Citrasolv. Now, this is again something that people have been doing this for years. I've heard about it for years. I've seen papers done this way, but I never went and found the Citrasolv and bought a National Geographic magazine. It really only works on National Geographic because of the kind of ink they use and the paper that they use. But it is the coolest stuff. Again, there are a crap ton of videos showing how to do this. It's how I figured out how to do it. But you're just taking the Citrasolv and you're just sprinkling it, literally sprinkling. You don't want to spray it because you get these cool textures, but you just sprinkle this onto the National Geographic. I let it sit for like 20 minutes, half an hour. Some people say longer. You'd want to do it outside because this stuff, it smells like orange. The papers still smell like orange, but it's pretty strong. If that might bug you, I did it outside, and you wear gloves because the ink gets really kind of messy. But basically the ink just does the coolest things. Look at these. See, and these are sandwiched together, so then you peel them apart. It's just so this is the latest issue of National Geographic. It had a bunch of whales and underwater stuff. So hence it's got a lot of the blues and the purples. But look at what he does. These papers, so cool. But the ink just kind of, there has a bunch of purples. Is this coolest stuff? So yeah. I'm super stoked about doing some stuff. It's kind of, that looks like, looks like the craters of the moon kind of thing. But yeah, so it's see, this one, it didn't do much on this picture itself because that was some shrimp, but it did it on the other side. So, but these are just so mind-blowingly cool. This, it's like the first time I did the echo dye stuff. It's so cool, and you just want to play with it. So anyway, I won't go through all of them, but it's definitely smells like orange. So anyway, that's some of the fun stuff that I've had from last week. So I know I'm just crazy. So but fun to play with, but you definitely, I personally say, do it outside and make sure you wear gloves. But Citrasolv, they just had it at my local grocery store. You just want the concentrated one, and then a National Geographic. That's all you need. I have a couple of older magazines that the paper feels suspiciously like. In fact, that magazine that I used, remember that craft magazine that I used, American Craft, that I used for my magazine version of the paper, the book album, paperback book album. This feels very similar kind of paper in it. So I might pull a page out and see what happens. But it doesn't matter what the pictures are of because it distorts them completely. But so I want to try that. This is an old magazine, so from the 90s. But a lot of people have talked about they tried other magazines and it doesn't do it the same way. Because of the clay content and the ink content of what National Geographic, because I mean the photos in National Geographic are just mind blowing. So that's why it works with National Geographic. So if you're somebody who collects National Geographic, you get a treasure trove you don't know you have. So anyway, fun. So I may incorporate some of those into some digital stuff too. So you never know what you might see. So anyway, back to where we were. I keep trying to start on this and I'm, 45 minutes in and I haven't done anything yet. So I think I'm going to go and work on one of these and then work our way towards the center again. I started at the center the other day and we did a bunch of the little fussy stuff. So here was an envelope that I then stitched a little pocket onto it, put a tiny little tag. Now, a lot of these, because I stitched this on my sewing machine to the layers of the pages, some of the papers kind of wanted to tear a little bit. So I've been putting some washi tape on those spots. So we put a little tag in here that, since it's a skinny one, so just folded it in half so it fits in there. This one's got a little journaling spot. So then this is gonna have a pocket. So, but then so we go back here. This I have a piece that I've sewn on. That's rice paper that I've sewn on there. And then this is a spot for a pocket, and then some grid paper, and then our 6x9 envelope. So let's go ahead and do something with our 6x9 envelope, and then we can work our way forward. So this is one of the colors. Excuse me. There's ones that have that are collaged kind of with some foliage type stuff, and then I also have some ones that are just mainly background. And then we can go from there. So this one's kind of fun for that daisy. We have a, I also like this one because it's got the black and the white in it. So we'll just set that one aside. This is another one that has black and white on it. Yeah, maybe. So this is, but these are I was truly trying to go for that painterly collage type thing with it, since that's kind of where my brain is at right now. But of course, I did this one a couple months ago, and I just hadn't finished it up or used it yet. So this seemed like the perfect project to use it for. But again, I still have to do the cards that go with it. So it has the pattern papers. It has more of the backgroundy like papers, and then it has the what I call the solids, quote unquote, but they're not. And I still need to do the cards, the journaling cards in the 3x4 and 4x6 before each of those, and I'll finish those up and get. I'll just say by Monday. I'm trying for the weekend, but I'll do by Monday to get these up, because I know several people are definitely wanting this. So I really like that guy right there. So we're going to use this one with this day. It's got these fun daisies on it. So oh, good, Pam. Send me some. For those of you who weren't here on National Scrapbook Day, I'm less inclined to use my cutter and just kind of. People are going, who are you? Is I'm just tearing and winging it a lot more. I'm just trying to be a little bit more loose. Obviously, if you want to measure and cut, go ahead. Oh, you just got rid of a big box of them? Oh, I thought you just got a big box. Oh, well, Pam. Actually, they say the ones since 2000 work the best rather than old ones. I think the old ones still work, but the ones from the last 20 years actually work the best. Oh, you thought I was going to cut it with my knife on top of this? Yeah, no. No, I'm just ripping it now. Rather than cutting it. Yeah, but if you want, mainly because I'm going for the more loosey-goosey look. So I didn't mean to freak you out there. Or Christine, sorry. So it's roughly right around in there. It's going to get me where I want it. That gives me the height that I want. I probably should have done it this way. Could have done it this way. No, I like it better that way. There we go. Okay, so then... And we talked about tearing. If you tear it away from you, it doesn't leave a white edge. If you tear it towards you, it'll leave a white edge on whatever the side that you want. So You can tell. So I decided to go this way. So I decided to not make it perfect along the top. So I'm off camera. So I'm making it up perfect so that I can put something else, kind of tuck it back behind there. I can actually, I'm going to have a pocket here. I can actually, me, I like to turn as if I don't have enough real estate in anything that I do. If I can turn that into a pocket, I have something tucked back in behind. I also have been digging through my mustache, and I've been finding some stuff that all those sheets that when I found these sheets, I thought these were very cool sheets. These are old and they're light. These are some old basil. Is it basil paper or basil? I think it's basil. That has some newsprint. You can actually use actual newsprint. In fact, because we're remodeling the kitchen, we're painting all our cabinets and stuff. And in the one that's above the little desk, had some old phone books. And I hope my husband didn't throw that away. I had it stacked off to the side. Old phone books. We always had phone books until we had, cell phones, but we always had phone books. But phone book pages, talk about how cool that would be with the yellow. So, it's the lightweight. But see, something like these, you could actually use actual newspapers and stuff as well, or actual ledger papers. But having that kind of thing just, poking up out of the corner. So these are some 12 by 12s. I also just found some old 6 by 6 that has a lot of that kind of stuff in it. So will be a good one. And then this is another old basic gray that has just some fun stuff in there to use. So, and then as always, Tim Holtz has, stuff that you can use as well. And then now when I'm doing all my painting and stuff like that, what I've been using now is I've been just taking old paperback and rather than squirting my paint out onto my nonstick, I'm just squirting it out onto a page out of the paperback book and using that as a palette. And then I kind of wipe off any excess and let it dry, because then I can use these for little collage pieces when I need a pop of some sort of color. When I have my stencils out, I do stuff my jelly press. I love the jelly press. But these are ugly themselves, but I can just use them as, collage pieces. For instance, that one's kind of cool and that would work really well color-wise with that. So I can just use these, some are really ugly, but sometimes you just need a little bebop of this. And so this one pulled off some of the grungy stuff that was on my gel plate. So I kind of like that one with it. So you can use some of those. I just have this basket now that's got, this is a basket that's got all my little scrappy doodles. So now I'm officially even worse of a hoarder than I used to be. Tea bags. So, I just now just throw it in this basket, and when I need it, and then I'll just purge the basket every so often. So, but if you become a hoarder, don't blame me. It's not my fault. Well, it probably will be, but hey, see, look at this little cut off piece. Look how cute that is. That's also, see, that would look really sticking, popping up right out of there. I might use this on the tag because I like how that looks, because it's just a piece of from something I stenciled that I cut off. Yeah, if you have any hoarding tendency, doing junk journals is probably not your best move. All right, Lois, thank you, sweetie, and happy belated birthday. I know it was just your birthday, so it's a birthday. I know, I'm kind of wound up right now. I had a coffee this afternoon. All right, so I'm still inking, and I'm inking on this one with the Frey burlap. I did get, this is such a pretty color. I want to get the new one, the new greenish toned one, but I did finally get some of the speckled egg, the distressed speckled egg, and I love Tim's new foamy things that are rounded rather than the sharp edge. Love these for the inks. So slowly, as I replace, I will go to the rounded ones. So we got this little pink in there, so I want to pop a little pink up in here. And we can do that really easily. I don't have to bust out the watercolors because the watercolors and I are still having, we've kissed and made up, but I'm still a little like, okay, well, so, but I mean, to be perfectly honest, my absolute favorite thing right now, tool-wise, is, I don't know how you pronounce that, Caran d'Arche. But it is Neocolor crayons. I splurged. This is what I bought myself for my birthday. Is this set that's like 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 20. This is a set of 40. I got this off Amazon. I love these things. These are crayons, but they're water soluble. So you can use them just as crayon, kind of marking crayon. They're not like Crayola crayons. They're not as waxy, but they are water soluble. So I can like take, and this little pink, I can put some of this little pink up in here. So I can just scribble some on, maybe a little darker up in the corner. So I can do that, but then I can take a brush and some water. But I love these things because, like I said, they're water soluble. I have to keep lids on all of my water things because the cats love to come in and try to drink, and they've been known to knock things over during the night. So I like trying to keep a little bit of that mark, so it's got my hand to it. But see, I can then take and just wash that out a little bit with the water. So that doesn't require a lot of making a mess. So I can just add that little bit more pink that's down here, and then I've just added a little bit to draw the eye around. Super easy peasy. You could also use watercolor pencils, but this is my favorite thing. If I had to say, what is your favorite thing of all the materials that you use, I'd probably say these because I'm just totally and completely in love with them right now because they are so versatile. And I like these much better than the Tim crayons or any of those, the distress crayons. They're not as soft as the distress crayons, but I love them. I love them. Salvage Patina is the new color for Distress Ink, and I now have a store locally that has a lot of that stuff. So I always like to keep my local stores getting that kind of stuff at my local stores. I love doing that to help support them. So I might pop up there this weekend and get some of the Salvage Patina because it is like so my color. All right, so that's going to fit there, but I'm also now thinking, I don't want this so super pristine, but I don't want to just ink it, so I might put some stuff on it. Maybe I do some white. I just do this with my fingers. This is acrylic. This is just titanium white. And these work as good as a brush. So I'm just going to this one and along the edges. Smear it in so it doesn't. Baby wipes will clean it off your fingers. I don't want it perfect and even. And I don't mind the yellow showing. And because then I'm going to add a little bit more to it. So. And by putting this on here and then putting this over this adhesive stuff, I don't have to feel like I have to cover this over with paper. But you just got to make sure you kind of pretty much coat the adhesive part so that it doesn't get sticky. But I definitely don't want it to be, perfectly coated. That's why doing it with your fingers can make it much more organic and less. I mean, you can obviously do it with a brush if that's your preference. Some people don't like getting all icky. Okay, so then we can let that dry a little bit. But any kind of titanium white acrylic, you can even use the liquid, you can use the liquid stuff that's $1 something. Yeah, painting with your fingers it's very freeing. Kind of takes you back to kindergarten is what I like about it. Okay, let's give this a quick little dry while I then get some fluid acrylic to get some. Now this is where you can use some your distress inks, but I'm just going to use some other acrylics on it. Yeah, so when you have paint all over your fingers and you forget to wash it off and go to the grocery store, you're more legit as an artist. It feels pretty good. That's one little spot down there. And then I'm just going to take some of, this is a liquid acrylic. I have these little cups that I use. You just find them, random places. And I use those. I wipe them out, but I use those rather than squirting onto here so much. And this is a fluid acrylic. This is sepia. You don't need much, but it's like super liquidy. I mean, you can even use it in airbrush and stuff. And I'm loving those. I'm in love with acrylics right now. So, and then I put a little bit of water in there. Where's my same brush? This is my favorite brush right now. So I can take this and maybe just kind of. Okay, this is a lot yellower than I thought it was going to be. So I can also just take so it's kind of given an edge on it, but I wanted it a little darker. I thought that sepia was so brown. I'm going to throw a little gray in there just to tone it down. This is shading gray. I'm just a few drops of that to give it more of a chocolatey brown. That's more like what I want. I do still want the white to show through, so I'm just kind of dabbering it so that it does bring the white out. So I like the orange tone and that of the goldenroddy kind of color, but I'm just wanting it to be a little less office. Where's my spray bottle? A little less, office materials type thing. So by kind of blotching it a little bit with my baby wipe, see, it makes it look a little bit more loose and antique-ish. So, and I can reconstitute that. It's not quite the same as watercolor, but I can put more water in it. But I probably should rinse my brush out. I'm not the nicest to my brushes. I admit it. Okay, so this is going to go. So it's covering it up, a good portion of it. And then this guy's going to go in this corner. So I'm going to stick him on first. Now I'm going to do this in a shape so that I can turn this into a pocket. And I think I got over a little far with my glue, so wipe that off. Stick this down. See, you guys are all just watching. Oh, we got a pretty small crowd tonight. I didn't put it up early enough. And I didn't realize I didn't have it on my calendar. So a lot of people didn't know I was doing this. So a lot of you watching the video. That's cool. Do you guys still like the Friday nights, or would you rather I did like Saturday nights? So there's still, see, and then I can make that into a pocket. And then this is obviously a pocket. And I'm going to use some of this to kind of cover that part up. So I like that going like right there, like so. So I'm going to fold this so I can fold the outline. Okay. So that goes right at that fold. And my typical fashion, what I'm doing is I'm just going to attach this half of above the fold to my flap, but I'm not attaching this part so that if I end up deciding that I want to close that, it's not impeding upon it. Though this paper is so light, I probably could do the whole thing. This one I am going to use. I need to grab more glue sticks. Oh, bummer. I got to go to Blick Art. My favorite place in the entire planet. So see, that adds that some of that kind of seafoamy green. It actually matches perfectly, unintentionally, but matches perfectly. So I don't have to go all the way to the edge, and it shows off this kind of cool place where we put some of the white on there. And so then I'm going to do the, should I go ahead and do the cover thing? I think I'm probably going to leave this out. And I think I'll do that as a kind of more of a cover. Well, it's not a cover, but the front element. I don't know. Do you want me to show you do this side, or should I work? Let's work in here and doing some of these other little pieces and stuff. So, but yeah, so then that becomes a pocket and a pocket. So that'll be fine. Biggest thing is I don't want it sticking out too much because, yeah, it can stick out up to like quarter to half an inch beyond this edge and still fit in, because I'm fitting this inside that suitcase. I don't want it to stick out too far. So, all right. So next up, we're going to do this, and it does not look like it's tearing because so I don't need to add extra tape onto him. Now, this is something that I probably would have tea dyed or done something to before I installed it, but I didn't. So I have some pieces of, this is just freezer paper, which is shiny on one side, dull on the other. I'm going to roll, get it at the grocery store. It's like $3.50 at the grocery store. Just trying to get it so I can protect this sheet below it, because it's not going to let the liquid go through. So, excuse me. So let me grab some of this, since I already have it out. And this is just plain old regular grid paper. So I can add some more color to it. Let it run. So I can make it kind of like tea dye. You can also do this exact same thing with coffee. Not even instant coffee. You buy, the coffee that comes in the jugs right now. So if you're on the East Coast, you can buy Dunkin' Donuts. If you're, like me on the West Coast, you can buy Starbucks. We're going to flip this over, and I'm going to spray it beforehand a little bit. And you can use that, and you can coffee dye it right in place. It's really cool. But it's strong enough because it's like latte level coffee. And I like it much better than using instant coffee, which is what a lot of people use. The other thing I'm going to do is I've got I use these, but I don't dry my baby wipes out and use it. But I did see something where somebody does, just with some muslin, cuts pieces about this big for doing this kind of dabbing type of stuff. And then later on dries them. And so then they can use them as, fabric pieces in your journal stuff. I know, like I said, I'm going to turn y'all into total pack rats. If you weren't already, warning, you will be soon. So, yeah, just Dick Blick's is it's a pain parking there. It's actually a block from where we had the quote unquote the chop last year. It's just a block down from the park where all that was going on. But it's just a pain to park there because there's a South Seattle Community College is up there. So it's a challenge to park up there is the only thing. So I have to drive because you have to parallel park, and Sarah doesn't like to parallel park. So. Okay, but see, and then it's a little crumply, and I like it that way. But so I can keep it to where that's a good place to do some journaling. But I want to do some stuff on the edge. So I'm going to whip these puppies out again. I'm using some of these kind of colors, these softer colors, which is part of the... So I'm just going to color in some of the squares softly. Just to add some color. Maybe a couple of white ones. And then one little quick, just to spritz, just to soften it. I don't want it to run. I just want those colors to kind of meld. And so and I'll show that to you here in just a second. It just kind of melds the colors in. Doesn't dry fast enough. Give it a... I gotta be really careful because this is a paper that I'm covering on my desk, and I keep setting this on there. I gotta change. This weekend is changing the paper on my desk, the wood paper on my desk, and then I'm gonna start using a painting drop cloth for when I'm actually doing messy stuff, because then I can take the painting drop cloth once it gets covered with a bunch of stuff, and I can cut it up. Hoarding. You can just call that, the hoarding TV show. You just call them now because I'm gonna be there. I still want to just give it a little edgy edge. A little darken up. And I'm gonna keep the backside blank, keep the rest of this blank. So because this will be a good place, to have some written stuff on there. But now it's kind of, it's been aged, it's a little crinkly. It just kind of fits in, and then adding this little bit of color ties in the color. But you can see how it just kind of spritzing the water on those little squares. You can still see that I drew those on there, but it just kind of melds them in a little bit. So, all right, then this is a little pocket done out of some mixed media paper. But I also did, when we were down in Portland, I also got some of these. Where's the little ones? Where did they go? Anyway, I got to this little watercolor. It's a Prima pad. Oh, these will fit in there. So this is some little watercolor pads so I can make some little watercolor things that can go in there when the watercolors and I are having a better moment. So anyway, so we can do something on that, and then something. Let's do something on the back of this. Let's pull out some other paper, and maybe we'll do something like we'll stamp something. I pulled out a bunch of stamps right before we started. See what these are like. God, some of these are ancient, but I have all these stamps that I never use, so I pulled some out. And I thought these were cool because they had some border stuff on them. This one has a cute little bird and a butterfly. Some fairy type stuff ones. These are old ones from Graphic 45. I like the butterflies on this set. And this is some cute little birds too. I think the little bird would be really cute there. And again, some more Graphic 45 ones fit. Here's some old basic gray. I thought these were cute little stamps too. So, but I think I want the bird. maybe we'll go ahead and get that stamped on there. And that, I like one of these little skinny borders down here at the bottom. But, you know, it's like, hey, I've got all this stuff in my stash that I don't use, so I need to start using it. It's like I've been stuck on there for years. I don't want to come off. So, and on this stuff, I'm not a super picky stamper. I'm going to do that along that edge. I'm not, you can get a, oops, helps to stamp with the stamp pad and not with the lid. I'm not necessarily getting a block out because I'm not terribly concerned that this is absolutely perfect. In fact, the imperfection is preferred. So I'm just going to stick that down. If it doesn't come out, great, whatever. I can also put something hard underneath there. But see, that just perfect. That's all I wanted it to do. So. Now, this is a rubber one, so it's a little bit more firm. I can take this clingy paper off here. If I wanted to stick it onto a block, how sticky is it? It's not bad, but it'll stick to inside there, so I'll just leave this on. But super cute, this little magenta stamp. I don't even know if magenta's still around. That's the problem right now. It's all these companies. It's like, I don't know if they've survived. You know, I don't know. I know they were still around pre-pandemic, but I don't know if they've survived through the pandemic. So I hope so, because they do some really cute stamps. Okay, so I think I'm going to stick something back hard behind here. No, that's not wide enough. Where do I have something before this dries? I don't pay attention. I better make sure it's not dried on there already. Cute little birdie. There you go, Joy. I did a birdie for Joy. See, cute little birdie. And this is just giving it an edge. There's nothing, it's not really grass. It's more just an edge. But, you know, obviously you could do, you know, some of the pattern paper there too. So, oops. It doesn't really matter which way it goes in here. But, you know, it's like, start busting out some of those colors. And again, these are easier than getting my watercolors out. So let's make him a little blueberry. You can give him a little blue. I'm going to purposefully color kind of outside of the lines. Give him a yellow tummy. Little peachy face. Maybe a slightly different blue on his wing. So then give him a little spritzy spritz. So it kind of buzzes things up a little. Not too much water. You see it kind of spreads it a little bit. Gives a little bit more loosey-foosey, goosey kind of look. But if you're going to do water over a stamp, make sure it is a permanent ink. Don't do this with a distress ink or you're going to just have mush. But watercolors are also fun, especially with some of the little packs. I have the Prima ones, and then I just got this one. This is Winsor Newton one. So you can get it at the big box stores. Oops. So it's got a nice little array of colors in there. So when I do my color class this summer, when we do our box of color, then we will we're gonna talk about both acrylics and watercolors. So now let's see. I do want to do something with a little bit of paint. I'm going to bring some of that. Let's see. Do I want to do paint? I'm thinking color. Do I want to bring more of the pinky in? Or what other colors do we have in here? Maybe we'll do a little stencil. This is one of Tim's stencils. It's got dots and it's got these little X's. So we're going to do some of those little X's. Let's see, where's the color that I want? I'll do it with the paint. I don't need much, so I'm just going to do a little dab and makeup sponge wedge. Do some dots across the top, a few more X's, do X's along the bottom. And so that just adds some visual texture color in there. That's fun. Now when this thing, you can wash these out. I many times will keep a bowl of water. I can wash this out. But what I a lot of times do is I'll let this dry and then I'll just take my scissors and, or before it's even dry, I just cut that off so that I can keep using the sponge. I can toss that part. Favorite Sharpie. Do some dots along here. Maybe on some of these X's. Not all of them, just a couple. Maybe do some circles around these guys. Again, it's like I've talked about on a couple things, is just adding your hand in there by making some marks, even though you're using a stamp that, you know, of an image that you didn't draw, but you're adding some of your own hand marks in there to make it yours. So, okay, so that we've got that guy. I think he's pretty much dry. Now on this front side, and we'll have some cards will go in there. I can even use some of those little tiny envelopes if I wanted to make it even more. So I could have a card and then I could also have this little envelope guy in there. So maybe I have a little note inside of there. I mean, I think that's what I love about doing this kind of project with the junk journal is having those little hidey holes and little secret compartments kind of thing. And having this to where you could have a little note tucked in there, as well as having a little, tag that slips in there as well. So I could also have both a tag that fits in there, as well as this little envelope that can potentially have some little goodie in it. So I think I like the color of this. So, it's kind of like how we had in here. So we have this little guy, and then we've got this tiny little guy. So it's kind of, I think it's like kind of like going through one of these junk stores or these antique stores and stuff. Especially a lot of them are these antique malls where it's like there's 50 vendors in there kind of thing, and each one is different and each has different stuff, and it's that discovery and finding and that kind of thing. I think that's so much fun about it, and I'm not somebody who likes doing that sort of thing, but I'm finding I love doing it for that's what I love about these junk journals. It's kind of just this, it's like a fun little adventure. So Arteza paints are fun. Those are fun to use, Pam. Hi, Candy. In fact, pulling this piece, I think I want to use this because I think it kind of fits in with things. I think putting this kind of on the back side of there is going to work perfectly. So it can be kind of the back / front. Or I can use this end. I kind of like this one better. Okay, so glue stick this. Put it to there. And I can tear cut. This thing's making me crazy. So that makes a cute little tag. I like how this is up here, kind of hanging out of the top. So again, I have my little bit of stuff here. It's starting to dry out. Get a little more water. I'm loving doing these kind of wet edges these days, a little bit less. I know. I'm embracing imperfection, I think, is what I'm trying to be better at doing these days. So let's see, then something can get written on this backside with the white pen. So kind of how I've been approaching, getting some of these paints. These golden ones, these things are pricey, but if you get them using coupons at Michael's, they're not as bad. And I buy 1 or 2 colors at a time. I don't have a lot of them, and those are like basic colors that I would use, but anything that's kind of wild and crazy, purples and stuff like that I wouldn't use, then I go get the cheap acrylic bottles. But I started using these golden ones, and I love them. They're, you get what you pay for in terms of the pigment. But what I appreciate about them is, because I'm familiar from back in my, fine art major days, before I went back to school for architecture, I recognize the names because they've got the classic names that are on oil paints and watercolor paints and all that kind of stuff. And they're not just called, like poodle skirt pink. So, this is like shading gray and sepia, and there's like raw umber and those kind of colors and stuff like that. So, but that made that cute little tag. Let's punch a little hole in it. Maybe in the corner instead of, the expected spot. That's my bag. A little yarn stashy. All those kits that I had all those yarns and stuff in there for you. Pull those puppies out if you haven't used them all. Perfect. Right at the end. I need the pink. That's perfect. I think I'm going to tie it. I didn't need to put that through folded because I think I want to tie it rather. So it's kind of more off to the side. I need more of that pinky one. Fold it over and tie it so it's more of a tassel. So just tie it right below the knot when it's folded over. So then it becomes more like a little just tassel hanging off the side. Oh, I like the blue one there. I'm just going to just chop that off, but I like that little piece of blue. So that's going to just pop in there like so. Then we got this little guy. Oh yeah, well you get that. You can use Tim's crayons, just like what I was doing. If you might not have been here yet, Candy, but I'm using my Neocolor crayons. They're not quite as soft as Tim's crayons. I love the Neocolor ones, but get them out, play with them. It's kind of like what I'm doing on here. If you notice, I haven't not got my cutter out. I've not got my scoreboard out. I've not got much controlled things out. I'm trying to use less controlled substances. So we're just like, it's just totally just let go of needing it to be perfect. Let go of wanting it to be absolutely. And I think you will find, like I am finding, I'm literally loving how things come out when I do this. It's just the fun of just letting yourself play. So I didn't need to cut that off like I did, but I wanted to show you how that works, so you can get multiple uses out of your sponges. I love this. Is my favorite Tim one. It's absolutely my favorite. But see, this throwing that pink along. That one actually came with a stamp set too. That's like seriously mega cute. Where's the stamps that go with it? See the cute stamps that came with. So this was in one of those sets. I think I got it at Joann's. But it's got some seriously cute stamps in it as well. I probably should get a blog. I don't know if these have a blog in it that I pulled out. I thought it did. It didn't. I don't care. I don't let that stop me, as you've seen. I just stamp whether I have a block around or not. This is the only part that's tricky when you don't have it on a block. It's not the world's best stamping job, but that's okay. It would have been better with a block, but hey, I can go in and touch it up. Nobody will notice unless you tell. You you tell I like my crayons? It's a great way to add some color. Okay, I'm not even going to wet that one down. But give some cute color. Let's put this little leafy guy on the back. So then I just put a little pink there on that top. So, and then so I can do some stuff inside. Now, this has got the sticky stuffy on it, so let's get this dry real quick. Let's see what's in my... my Scrap Mania in here. Oh, see, that's cute. So then I'm just basically covering over just the sticky part. Those little corners off. Put some bordering lines on there. So I like how that came out. Since I've already got some fiber action going on there, let's put a little hole in there so we can add a little bit of foo-fa-doodle. Put a little ribbon on there. This is my favorite right now, is this Sharpie S Gel. I'm finding it writes on pretty much anything. It is not, this one is not, as Sharpies go, it is not water soluble. So be aware, if you do anything wet over it, it smears. So, but I love it for outlining, which is what I tend to do towards the end after I've done all the wet stuff anyway. So there's that, and we'll put a little something in there. So that tucks into my little pocket. We still gotta put stuff on that. What does it look like on the back? I did that on the back. So I didn't really put any wet per se on there. Okay, see, this is where this comes in handy. This is the same sort of thing as what I did in terms of a palette. Let's see, and then you get the words show through. And that's just from a paperback book. So that just can go on there like so. Get a little bit of inky dinky on it. Because I can't help myself. I'm going to just take my pen and outline around it. Again, try not to be perfect. So, and that kind of gives a cute little color-wise in there. I can do something back behind there too. Maybe stick a little. A little bright, but we'll make it work. I like the hole punched in there, so I like that part of it a lot. I don't know, it's a little bit bright. So I'm thinking I can take I'm going to just add a little white to my brownish mixture. Maybe tone it down. Kind of transparent, so it's not, it's just toning it down. It's not covering it, which is what I want it to do. So it's just not quite so bright, but it's still color-wise kind of fits in. I'm going to take some of this stuff, this heavier stuff, stick some little blob of it in there because I need to add water to it. Oh, come on. That's the edge there. Just because I want it to be more white. Push it in there. Splat it with a little white. So then you don't even really notice that it's outrageously bright orange anymore. Dry all those. But I didn't want to take the color away. I just wanted it to be not so in my face kind of bright. I mean, it's going to get covered over 90% of the time. That's a big old blob of white there that I'm trying to dry. Sorry. It's not even going to show, so I'm going to smear it off a little bit. And that's going to be under, so you won't care that there's a big old plopper right there. So not quite so in your face. So then I gotta just circle around that. I love the hole. So that toned my orange down. Because, you know, having some other colors is not a bad thing. I just didn't want it quite so, hello, I'm screaming orange right here. So then I can slip these guys in there so you don't even see it for the moment. Oh, I wish these dots, maybe I should do some dots down this side because it doesn't show on that side. Couple more dots. Dots and dots and dots and dots. My kids had a book when they were little that was about colors and stuff. And it had dots, a thing that had dots and dots and dots and dots. And my husband, he was incredible about reading to the kids. He had such a cadence and that book will be forever imprinted on my brain with the dots and dots and dots. Well, see, that looks cuter with it on both sides anyway. So then that can just tuck in there. So, you know, what we've got so far is we got a pocket here. We've got a pocket here. We've got this little place for doing some journaling on. We've got our little bird. And then these guys, you can journal with a white pen on the back of that. And then we've got this guy that we're going to put a little tag in, but we're like out of time. So I'm going to try to work on this. I'm going to leave it out because I'm going to try to work on this tonight. I'm going to take, though, while you're still here, because I have this white here that I mixed up way too much of. Okay, this one's starting to rip a little bit, so I'm probably going to have to do a little bit of tape on there, but let's just go ahead and paint right over that edge there. All right, we'll just have to waste the rest of that paint, but so yeah, I'll be putting some tape down in there, and I'll do I'll pick one of my other papers and do that there. And then on this flip side, we've got, this is accordions out with this rice paper. So, and then we're getting close. So we don't have a whole lot more before we're up against this guy. But no, I love how this little pocket came out, just because it's got, there's so much in there in such a tiny little space. It's kind of like that little nook and cranny kind of thing. So anyway, these are just, they're just fun because don't get the cutter out, you know, I just trying to be very loose and much more free. And I'm encouraging you to just try it. Because I am finding that it's definitely very freeing. The style is not for everybody. Not everybody likes this kind of look. But I'm having so much fun with it. And I just find it so much more interesting. So, Christine's talking about having paint splatters. Surprisingly, I don't get much outside of my mat. There's a few spots on my table, but in general, for the most part, I'm actually been pretty fortunate that I don't have a lot of stuff beyond my little this workspace that you can see right here. So yeah, it saves on blades. And I don't know, it's been breathable. I don't know how else to put it. It just kind of, it's been very freeing, and I'm having so much fun playing this way and not feeling so it's got to be just right kind of thing. I'm probably not expressing because I'm over on the right side of my brain and the left is the verbal side. So I'm just like, or the other way around. I can never remember which one, but I'm on the side of I'm on the nonverbal side. So my brain is, if I could talk in pictures, you know, but it's a lot of fun, and you don't need a lot of stuff. You can just use stuff that you have around the house. So, you know, if you don't have paint, fine. You can get like a tube of white paint and use some coffee, and you can pretty much do a lot of what maybe you know, this one I used some pink. But if you have like some of the Tim Holtz crayons, use those. You don't have to run out and buy the Neo Color ones. Even though I personally love them, use what you got. If you've got watercolor pencils, use those. Yeah, just use what you've got. And you can just play with what you have in your house already. If you've got 1,000,002 sprays, like I've got a bunch of sprays, I use those too. You can use those like they're watercolors, like what we've just done on the edges of things. You can use those. It's going to have a little sparkle in there, but who cares? Don't shake them as hard if you don't want as much sparkle. So they still work the same. So yeah, it's a lot less stressful just going with it. And you know, you have a generalized color palette, but not super hardcore, you know, and so and those of you who've been following me for years, you know that I'm, you know, measure everything and cut it and have it line up and being perfect. So and I love doing that too. I get lost in the details of that, but I also love this. So it's sometimes fun to kind of play with both a bit. So yeah, if you've got a ton of glimmer mist, I got a bunch of old glimmer mist too, but they don't spray anymore. But I can still get stuff, you know, I can still open the bottle and get the color and stuff out. They haven't dried up, amazingly enough. But they don't spray anymore because their spray bottles suck, to be quite blunt. But you can certainly use them for, you know, all sorts of other things. But Anyway, so this has been fun, and we're going to keep working on this. We'll be back next Friday to work on this a little bit more. And I'll see, if I get more done on it. Yeah, so as long as Fridays still work for everybody, we'll keep going on Fridays. And then, but also for all the moms out there, the actual moms, play the role of a mom, grandmas, all of that. I just want to wish all of you a happy Mother's Day on Sunday. And we will then be back again next Friday. So thank you, as always, to Joy, to Pam, and also to Lois. So she's already left. So everybody have an amazing rest of your weekend. Have a nice Mother's Day. And if you haven't gotten poked, get poked. So it's my new crusade. It's like, wear your mask, but get a poke too. So I will, you're a mom to your parents. You can be sometimes it's more work to be a pet parent than it is to be a parent to a child. I honestly, having done both, there are days. So happy Mother's Day. Have an awesome weekend. Have a great week coming up. And we shall see you then next Friday. So peace out. Love you guys all bunches. Bye for now.